This is the most dangerous yet safest prison ever built. Bedrock crevice. Now I am trapped on an isolated ledge floating 30 blocks above a massive lava pit. The only thing I can see in this room is a window leading to the guard's surveillance room. The guard watching me is standing there staring at me. When I noticed him, he opened a hole in the ceiling and immediately swam away. Now I am trapped alone in what might be the hardest escape room in Minecraft. I must use everything I know about Minecraft to escape. First, I need to figure out how to maximize the use of everything I find on this ledge. There is nothing in the result. Just when I thought I had to give up, I noticed something on the ceiling of the room that I hadn't seen before. There was a launcher there. There were also some green cubes around. It is possible that the launcher was a catapult, to throw things like cakes into the gap for me to collect. So I stayed idle for a whole day to see if anything would be launched. As a result, I waited all day for nothing. It was still empty inside. The newly kindled hope was shattered right then. But then I came up with a good method. I pressed F5. F5 gave me a whole new perspective, allowing me to see this loophole next to the lava. Actually, I could see it even without pressing. But anyway, that is not important. Clearly, I couldn't reach that loophole from here, but I might be able to touch it if I jump over. So I decided to give it a try. I thought if I died in lava, I would either respawn outside the prison, or go back to the glitch. Anyway, I had nothing left to lose. But when I jumped towards the glitch, I landed on a barrier block. I thought I was just on a barrier block platform. But then I started checking the room, and found the entire area was sealed with barriers. You might think this is a good thing, because I won't accidentally fall into lava anymore. But at the same time, I now have absolutely no way to reach that glitch. So I came up with another completely original method, using F5 again to switch perspectives, and leaning against the wall with a wide field of view. This allows me to see through walls. I've used this trick in other secret rooms too, so I can find important information. Therefore, I might see things previously hidden in the walls. I checked every wall. It turns out, there is a redstone comparator on the other side of this wall. There is yellow-green wool around the comparator. I suddenly realized, this is the same color I saw near the glitch. If I can find something to trigger that comparator, I might be able to throw something from the dispenser. But this still doesn't change the fact that there is nothing. The only container in this room is... No. Are you kidding me? Light gray stained glass pane. Was this thing in the bug from the start? Turns out I've had 5 stained glass panes all along. I just never looked closely before. Now I finally have some items. My escape can officially begin now. First, I reached the guard observation room, broke some glass to let the water flow out. Then I swam up to the room to see what was inside. I swam to the hole in the ceiling only to find it blocked by bedrock. There is nothing inside either. The only thing in this guard room is this item frame. I thought there must be something invisible hidden here too. But there wasn't. It is just an item frame, but it can still be very useful. I can use it to activate the previous comparator. So I took this sign from the wall, place it in the item frame in front of the comparator. It becomes activated. I don't know how I should handle the item frame either. So I rotated the sign a few times until it felt right. Then I went to check if anything fell into the glitch. There is an item here. Boat. Great. Boats are very useful in escape rooms. It allows you to clip through corners, walk through walls, jump over lava, climb onto the high platform, negate fall damage. But none of these work for me. In fact, the path to the areas I've already explored only has the lava section left. But the items in my inventory, everything in the entire room, only has a boat, 2 signboards and an item frame. How do I use these 3 types of items to pass through the barrier block? Alright, this is actually a false premise. They might be the only items in the room, but not the only elements. There is also glass, water, loophole. Through these elements, I thought of a potentially useful loophole. But just to confirm, I enabled particle effects to prove my suspicion. Based on the water particle effects, my prediction was correct. This barrier block is only 1 layer thick. Now I know exactly what to do. You probably don't know this little known glitch. If a boat falls through the thinnest layer of water, it can get stuck in the ground. If you board it as it hits the ground, you'll appear to be stuck in the terrain. This is very interesting. But you should be able to guess as well. If there is only 1 layer of blocks, the boat will pass right through. I happen to know how to place the boat to exploit this glitch. On the glitch, so I placed the sign in front of the water to push the flow forward. When the water is close enough, I swam forward and placed the boat on the glitch. Now all I need to do is break the glitch, board the boat as it falls through the barrier blocks, and I only have 1 chance, so I must execute it correctly. I boarded the ship as soon as I broke the glitch while it was stuck penetrating the barrier. My plan succeeded. Then I realized I was falling directly into lava. With no means to save myself, I quickly disconnected to buy myself time to think. My ship was doomed the moment it touched the lava, so there was no point in trying to save it. But I could still save myself. You probably already know that. When you log into an MC server, you are immune to fire damage for the first 3 seconds. So I can log into the server for 3 seconds at a time. But then I realized the lava was much deeper than I thought. I kept sinking deeper, still with no plan at all. My mind raced to figure out what I could do with the items I had. I still have 2 signs. If I stack them, I can create an air pocket in the lava. I can survive for a while and come up with a new method. Now I am trapped in a 20-foot deep lava pit, only half health left. No items can help me, but I won't give up hope. What else can I do? I thought about trying to swim toward the funnel in the wall I saw earlier, but I rewatched the recording and found it is too high for me to reach. So if I want to reach that funnel, I'll need some blocks. It was at this moment that I noticed some details. This lava pool is actually not empty. If you look outward from this corner, you can see gaps within the lava texture. Inside is the bedrock texture of the ground. But if you look at this corner, the bedrock texture is slightly interrupted. I can see the lava texture here. So I began the exploration by repeatedly logging in and out. I entered the lava by constantly reconnecting. Then used F3 to check the general direction. It happened to show the end portal I was hoping for. There is a hopper in the lava. Maybe there is something useful for me. So I approached the hopper and opened it. Inside was a bucket of powdered snow. So I logged in and took it with me, then logged out as quickly as possible. I realized the bucket of powdered snow isn't very useful in a lava pit. So I continued searching for hoppers. There are no other hoppers left, but clearly there is still a netherite block. So I swim towards the direction where I saw the netherite block. There is a cavity above it. Clearly, there is another room behind this netherite block. If I can break it, I can enter that room. But I need 4 minutes and 10 seconds to break the netherite block. While I can only stay on the server for 3 seconds, the only way I can make progress in this room is to break this netherite block or reach that hopper. The items I can use are an item frame and a bucket of powdered snow. How should I proceed now? Once again, this is still a false premise, because the items in my inventory are not all the elements in the puzzle. There is also lava. This is where the powdered snow bucket confused me earlier. What is useful is not the powdered snow in the bucket but the bucket itself. You already know that you can use a water bucket to climb walls, but you can also use a lava bucket to climb walls. As I demonstrated, you don't need fire protection yet. So I swam to the surface of the magma. I saw where the funnel was in the wall. As expected, I couldn't reach it from this position. I placed the powdered snow somewhere on the wall to prevent it from being affected. Then I scooped up some magma. This is where the skill comes in. I need to use both the xiaqian loudong and climbing walls with magma simultaneously. Let me demonstrate again. I succeeded on the first try. For some reason, when I right-clicked the funnel, it didn't open for 2 seconds. The first time I encountered this problem, it cost me 4 stars. I only have 1 star left now. Can't risk taking more damage. But I saw what was in the hopper. There was an enchanted golden apple and a trident inside. If I could get that enchanted golden apple, I would get 5 minutes of fire protection. So I logged in, right-clicked the hopper and waited 2 seconds. On the 3rd second I grabbed the golden apple and logged out. Then I just needed to log in and eat the enchanted golden apple before dying. When I got the trident, I thought, I now have enough fire protection to break the netherite block. There will still be extra time, because it only takes about 4 minutes to break. So I started swimming through the lava as fast as possible to reach the block. Then I just sat here and waited, pressing the left mouse button as hard as possible. All I could do was hope my calculations were correct. When the time came, it finally broke. I have 7 seconds to pass through the gap in the wall. In the next room, I see a zombie wearing leather boots, standing on a slime block trapped in the wall. I really need these leather boots because there is a bucket of powdered snow and leather boots. Basically means you can climb anywhere. But the problem is I can't reach that zombie from here. So I am searching around the room for items. The only thing visible is a glitch. I have to figure out a way to get through a glitch. A trident. There is another bucket of powdered snow to get the leather boots. I remember this move from Seaweek Gaming. If you place powdered snow on a monster, it will freeze to death. So I decided to place the powdered snow bucket on the zombie and wait. While waiting, I decided to break the hole in the ceiling, because I had nothing better to do. It turned out there was actually a passage to the next room behind it. I feel like this is where I need to go after getting the leather boots, but the zombie actually didn't take any damage. Clearly, this principle also applies to monsters. This means the zombie is completely immune to powdered snow damage. I want to try throwing a trident at it, but this can only reduce 1/3 of its health. I still can't retrieve the trident. But then I thought about it. Actually, there is a 3rd item that can kill the zombie. It is lava. So I went to the previous room and scooped a bucket of lava, ready to set the zombie on fire. But before doing so, I realized something. If you want the monster to drop armor, you must kill the monster personally, not through indirect means like lava or powdered snow. The only way for me to get leather boots is by killing zombies through very specific, unusual methods. You should be starting to understand. So I replaced the slime block with a hopper, so I can pick up the boots when the zombie dies. Then I set it on fire for just the right amount of time, so I can kill it with 1 trident hit to make the boots drop. Now I have the ability to climb walls. So with the help of slime blocks, I climbed to the next room. The next room had a sign telling me to discard the item frame. On my left was a door made of netherite blocks. I think this pressure plate can open the door. Sure enough, I successfully entered the next room. But this wasn't what I expected. This is the largest room I've ever seen in a secret chamber. The entire room was made of lava. Half of the wall is covered with TNT. There must be a reason for the TNT being here, although I might not yet know why. But I probably don't want the TNT to explode. As long as I don't trigger anything I shouldn't, the TNT shouldn't be a problem. While I was still thinking, the lava in the room suddenly started rising. So I need to speed up my thinking. I used the only good method I know. Enter F5 mode to view the wall. I really want to use powder snow to climb away, but this bedrock above me prevents me from building upward. I think I need some time to figure out what to do, but the lava moved faster than I expected. So I did the only thing instinct told me to do. Building upward with powder snow over lava is terrifying, because if I fall into the lava, I might survive, but the TNT probably won't. I reached the top of the bedrock box and looked around. There is nothing on it, but there is a sign on the TNT that says, I wrote some code. If you break the TNT, it will explode. This sign is redundant, because I couldn't reach the TNT anyway, but after watching near the TNT for a while, I noticed there was something else in the room. There is an entrance at the very top. If I can find enough blocks in the room, I can reach the top before the TNT explodes. So I started looking for blocks as quickly as possible. Through F5 I could see there was actually an opening in the bedrock box. Getting inside requires some skill, but I have no time to waste. So I began descending with the powder snow bucket. I broke the glass. It seemed like there was nothing inside the room, except this jagged corridor. Completely wasted my time. I found some strange redstone device at the end of the room, protected by barrier blocks. There is also a piston pushing a netherite block. I want to break the netherite block directly, but something tells me I don't have time for that. How does this thing work? If something is on the pressure plate, it will extinguish the redstone torch and retract the netherite block, revealing what is hidden behind. I checked F3, found that the barrier only covers the redstone room but not the corridor. So if I place powdered snow on it, maybe I can throw something to activate the pressure plate. I want to throw rotten flesh, but I keep missing the throw. It just lands next to the pressure plate. Then I thought of a glitch that only works in 2-player secret rooms. If you place an item frame on the ceiling, it starts clipping upward, like an item elevator. So I placed the item frame up there and broke it. It fell onto the pressure plate. Then I picked up the powdered snow to see what was behind. It was a cauldron filled with powdered snow. Now I need about 50 blocks. But the only blocks left in the room are these. This is all I have to work with. I went back to the jagged corridor, but I realized I could only carry 1 bucket of powdered snow at a time. So I had to go back again to get the second bucket. Then proceed forward with these 2 items. While I was climbing up, the lava was only 1 block away from me. Only 5 blocks away from the TNT. In a state of desperate panic and confusion, I suddenly realized I could climb as high as I wanted, and I only needed 2 blocks to do it. Powder snow is the only block in Minecraft that can be picked up from this distance, which means I could reuse the same 2 buckets of powder snow to build upward infinitely. While the lava was getting closer to the TNT, I reached the top of the room, saw a sign that said stop the lava. So I pulled the lever as fast as I could. It somehow exploded on its own, but I successfully stopped the lava from rising. Then I went to the other side of the room, found a large staircase. This must lead to the exit, right? When I reached the top, I saw the most terrifying room I had ever seen. A funnel sits on some kind of altar in the middle of the room. I don't know if it is because of the dim light source in the room, or the eerie background music. I don't really dare to open it, but I opened it in the end. Inside were 5 funnels, so I continued forward. Then just as I expected, this is the exit. The only thing preventing me from reaching that ladder, there are only 2 grass blocks moving back and forth. I tried to break them, but they were moving too fast to break. This looks so simple, but it is completely unbreakable. The only thing I can do with the hopper is maybe pick up a cake on the other side. That is good, because I can restore my saturation now. I guess there must be something in the room that I didn't see. So I checked all the half slabs under the altar. There was nothing underneath. I also searched through all the staircases. Used F5 to check behind every wall. There were no hidden rooms either. That is how it is. These are all the items I have. I also considered going back to get TNT, but even if I were allowed to place TNT, I wouldn't be able to activate them. The previous lever was the only power source I had. So TNT is useless against this stupid grass block door. Completely ineffective. But when I went back to check all the rooms, to see if I missed anything, I reopened the hopper and found 5 more hoppers. I don't know if I have amnesia, but I am 99% sure I had already taken those 5 funnels. But no matter what I did, I still took them again. Then I took another look to see what would happen, and found that it was refilled with funnels again. It seems like these funnels obtain items from the void, but now in this entire mission, the only thing I can do is use more funnels, fill up my inventory. But if I can't use a hopper, break these blocks, then what is the use of having 500? Then it suddenly occurred to me, a brilliant method. Let me explain. Every 0.05 seconds, a Minecraft server checks every block and entity. Come and see what needs to be updated. The unit of time is called a frame. Under normal circumstances, MC can within 0.05 seconds complete all necessary updates. But if there are too many blocks that need to be updated, such as a lag machine, then MC cannot complete the required updates on time. Hence the frames per second will start decreasing from 20. This is where I got lucky. Hoppers are one of the blocks that Minecraft updates every frame to check if any items fall into them. This means placing a bunch of hoppers can manually create a lag machine. This can lower the frame rate, reduce it to just enough for me to break those grass blocks. This time's escape is no longer about understanding the obscure mechanics, but about breaking the game itself. But here is the problem. I completely filled with hoppers all accessible rooms without any TPS drop. It turns out you need far more than a few hundred hoppers to create a lag machine. I need a huge room to make this plan work, although this will take a lot of time. But this is the only way I can escape this mission. I quickly made a step using a funnel, so I can go up and down without using powdered snow. Then I filled the funnels layer by layer, watching the server struggle to keep up. TPs dropped to 15, then 10, then 5. After 3 hours of placing the funnel, I returned to the room with grass blocks, successfully broke it. Then I escaped. I took some ender pearls from the wall and climbed the ladder. Then used ender pearls to glitch out. Finally, I succeeded.